I'm excited about this. Our friend JLC. We saw her at camp, but outside of that, have not had like a lengthy conversation with her in some time. And so
didn't get a chance to say hello because she was grinding over reps. And I don't want to, how you doing?
She does the work.
She does the work. And, I didn't have the notepad out, so I wasn't grinding over every snap. But, a lot of the reporters, once they get into scrimmage mode, I wasn't talking to anybody.
I already, I wish, I know she probably doesn't even like it when I do this. When we say Jennifer Lee Chan is putting in the work, y'all don't even know. You don't even know. It's not just practice reps. It's like in between practice reps, I'm going to go shoot a Southwest Airlines commercial. And oh, by the way, I just landed here an hour ago and I'm leaving in 2 hours. And that's the life of the great Jennifer Lee Chan, and all the while needs to record a podcast with Maddie Mayoko. Like, this person just gets it done. That's the intro for you, Jennifer Lee Chan. That's how we're going to do it.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. It is. Yeah. It is. And that's the same thing about the work you do. So, NBC Sports Bay Area. All right, Jennifer.
Hello.
Yeah, hi. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm actually just got on a plane going back home to LA, so saw practice today. Light practice, kind of the first day back. They've taken a look at the analytics, and the first day back is not a heavy day, how it used to be. It's kind of like an ease into the 3 days of practice. So it was a light one. Saw Brock Purdy back on the field, and he looks like Brock Purdy. He looks good.
Yeah, that's actually where we want to start, shockingly, but maybe not the question you think. And that is, we were kind of under the impression that Purdy was going to do 2 practice days on and then 1 off. Now, yesterday was a no practice day, so some of us were expecting him to not practice today, but he did. Are they upping the reps?
So I guess it's 2 days off, or 2 days on, 1 day off, and then if that coincides with the day off, then he's back at it. Now, if that coincides with the day on, and then it's off, and so then the off day is an off day, and then he's back on when they start it up again. It's kind of a funky thing. So they don't want him to throw more than 2 days in a row, and so that means 11 on 11 practice. So if it was, it's just the way the days match up, because training camp is 3 on 1 off, and he's 2 on 1 off. So if they match up, they match up, and then if they don't, they don't.
And if they don't, then he'll have 2 days off, and then he'll be back at it. And it's my understanding that at some point they're going to change the course of his events. And with that in mind, have you gotten any indication how the joint practice reps and the first preseason game will go?
Well, Kyle Shanahan talked about it today. The first practice with the Raiders, I think, is when they move up to getting about 40 reps on offense. So total, that's what they're looking at. So it is a ramp up to that. And then, the preseason game, right, it's behind that. So I think they've taken a look at where players have to be more engaged, more reps as they get along towards the preseason, then, all leading obviously up to week 1.
Jennifer Lee Chan, NBC Sports Bay Area. Oh, sorry, Jennifer, go ahead.
Oh, it's science. That's what it is.
Jennifer Lee Chan, NBC Sports Bay Area with us, Willard and Dibs, 95.7 The Game. So some of us in here before the show started were talking about the first preseason game. I'm just under the assumption that Brock is not going to play in that game. Is that your assumption too?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Because he's going to get so much work with the Raiders in those joint practices. I think those are really more important than the actual game, because then they can scheme up things. And, I think especially with potential for injury, you always see preseason games where guys that are fighting to make a roster spot are putting a little extra on it. You definitely don't want to have Brock out there when that is the case.
Okay, so has anyone asked the question, because this is going to light everybody up and it's going to tick Kyle off, but has anybody asked the question of which quarterback is starting the Raiders game?
No, actually no one has yet, so we don't know. I would think it'd be Trey Lance, but, they've Trey Lance and Sam Darnold have been splitting first-team reps throughout, so whoever is Brock, when Brock has a day off, it's an alternate between Trey Lance and Sam Darnold being the start, taking the snaps of the ones. When Brock is practicing, then they kind of alternate to who is the number 2 spot and number 3 spot. You need a matrix. You need the whole a flow chart for how this all works at practice, actually.
Well, thankfully, we have you and Matt Mayoko and many other reporters charting every single snap with the ones and the twos and the rest of it. Do you get the sense that there are some optics in play in terms of Trey Lance in what Kyle Shanahan is saying and how they're splitting the reps so as to not only give him the best chance to win the job, but maybe protect his potential trade value?
I don't know if it's necessarily that, but I do think they want to give him a fair shot, and part of that is giving him a fair amount of reps. He's really looked good, Trey Lance has. Sam Darnold has made some really good throws as well, so I think they're just trying to give both of them a good opportunity to show what they are able to do. And, build chemistry with the receivers and the offensive line, and, I think if you look at the total snap count across the board, they are pretty fair. Now, Brandon Allen did not get snaps today with the 11s at all, so previous to this practice, it was kind of even across the board, and his amount of snaps was kind of surprising. But he didn't get snaps with 11s today, so then that kind of leans towards Trey Lance and Sam Darnold having a decent amount more than Brandon Allen. Yeah,
that was something I know a lot of people took note. Kyle said, don't read anything into it, but that's not how this works. Of course, we're going to read stuff into it, but so take that news and then gather the comments made by Rich Eisen, Mike Silver, and others earlier this week that it is at least potentially on the table that Trey doesn't even make the team. What is and that would be like, not a trade, but just like doesn't make the team. What's your reaction to that? Do you think that's a possibility?
I don't think so. I mean, I think for how much draft capital they used to get him and how well he's played so far in training camp, I don't see that happening. He's too valuable to them. And I think John Lynch said it the best earlier in the week when he said, we are forever going to be influenced by the fact that they went through 4 quarterbacks last year. So I don't think that they would let Trey Lance go by any means.
In terms of needing 4 quarterbacks, though, if they do keep Trey and Sam, what happens to Brandon Allen? Is there a sense that he could sneak through and still make it on the practice squad, or would they have to go out and find a 4th elsewhere?
Yeah, that's a big question right now, especially when you look at where he came from. He came from the Cincinnati Bengals. Is Joe Burrow going to be ready to go with his injury? So maybe they would be willing, interested in taking him back, or maybe not. At least he knows the system over there. But I just don't see them keeping him over Trey Lance or Sam Darnold.
Jennifer Lee Chan, NBC Sports Bay Area, with us here on Willard and Dibs, and she is not going to pick up a white courtesy telephone, but yes, she is at the airport. So, Jen, what about this? The comments from today, Kyle Shanahan, Brock's the real deal. Do you take anything from that? Like, did that sort of, I don't know, did that grab your attention in any sort of a way?
Not really. I mean, they've been pretty consistent. Both he and John Lynch were consistent throughout the offseason, saying he's the leader in the clubhouse. I think they really like the way he's come back. He's, Brock Purdy is kind of one of those unflappable guys. He never seems flustered at all. He took everything in stride. He's coming back, with intention, making sure that he was ready before anybody thought he was going to be ready, sticking to the plan. I just think that he is a guy that speaks Kyle Shanahan's language as a quarterback, and I think they have a great relationship that way. Serious in his preparation. I think that's what he's been looking for all along.
Changing from the quarterbacks, reluctantly, of course, because that's all we care about, Jennifer. But the running back situation, it looks like with possible injury here to Elijah Mitchell might open the door. Who do you see as possibly the successor to the backup to Christian McCaffrey?
Jordan Mason got a lot of snaps today, but Ty Davis-Price has really come along, much better than his rookie season. I think there's something to be said for guys that, they used to sit on the bench their first year and kind of have a nice learning curve into becoming a starter in the NFL, and now it's just, what have you done for them lately? I think rookies it's to their, it's detrimental to them to expect them to perform from day one, but I guess that's just what the NFL is. But Ty Davis-Price and Jordan Mason look like they both have done a nice job during the offseason. They were running through the offensive line today with power and intention, and they both look pretty good. Kyle Shanahan said yesterday that Ty Davis-Price looks really good. He's done a lot of work in the offseason, and he's really pleased with how far he's come.
Jennifer, what's your read on the Nick Bosa situation?
Oh, it'll get done.
Right? It's right. Like, it's nothing to see here, right?
Yeah, no, nothing to worry about. It's going to get done. Nick Bosa said he's going to get paid what he deserves. I think, anytime you look at these huge contracts, it's all the little details that I think, make it harder for both sides to agree on. I mean, you usually hear at the end of a big contract being signed that, oh, yeah, it was just this clause here or this clause there. I think they know, the approximate amount of money that it's going to take to keep Nick Bosa in Santa Clara, and they're going to do it. I don't think there's any reason why they wouldn't. That's one thing about Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch is they're consistent. They've said all along that Brock Purdy is the starter. They've said all along that a deal is going to get done with Nick Bosa. And they're pretty honest. I mean, as honest as they can be, I think, with media and the public. So I don't think there's any worry or doubt that he will be there week one.
Jennifer, do you want to settle a bet or an argument between me and Dibs? I bet you could do it. You want to?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's do it.
Is it possible that they both hold on to Debo and break off a big contract for Ayuk and have them both on the team going forward?
They can do it if they want to. I think so.
By keeping everyone else.
And that's why we love Jennifer Lee Chan.
Well, typically Mark only offered up his part of the argument because
that
Jennifer,
was my only part.
Well, the actual part was the idea of them being able to keep everyone else as well. Can they keep everyone else, including, if Trent sticks around and George and all the rest of them?
Yes, and the reason is because of Brock Purdy. Because Brock Purdy is one of the lowest paid players on the roster. He's on his rookie deal. Trey Lance is on his rookie deal. That's why they have the ability to sign these big contracts like Christian McCaffrey, bringing him on and keeping everybody that you just mentioned. You look at every other team and how they're built around the NFL, and if they're paying their quarterback $50 million, they can't have that many star players. Some of your star players have to be on rookie contracts, and if that's your quarterback, that helps you all the more.
Jennifer, you're the best.
Jennifer, thank you so much.
You're welcome, you guys. You guys have a good afternoon.
All right, you too. There goes Jennifer Lee Chan, who confirmed an argument that I didn't even make.